Hey, everybody, this is Dr. Kevin McGovern, and this is the Prove It Live podcast. Today is November 4th. We got an interesting show for you today. We are debunking the teacher man. And of course, top of the order. Why would you do that? Everything else that goes along with our show. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my handsome co-host, Mr. Mike Frary. Michael, it's all you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I am Mike Frary from the Farm Baseball Performance Institute, along with my co-host, the aforementioned and extremely accurate Kevin McGovern from Perfect Motion Sports Therapy. We do have a great show today. So today is sort of a deep dive. We're going to do a little deep dive in someone that we've talked about quite often on the show, the Teacher Man. And I don't even remember his actual name, but he goes by the Teacher Man, and he teaches a very unorthodox swing that it not only is poor for performance, but it's poor in terms of keeping kids healthy, and which is one of the main reasons that we talk about it so much. And it wouldn't be such a big deal, right, Kevin, if we didn't have such a following of kids actually watching these things. So we're gonna get into a deep dive of that. Yeah. But before we do, we have the top of the order with our amazing producer with very questionable mustache, Ryan Gagne-Frutis.
I think it looks great, and been told by
sure does
many of dozens of people.
many of dozens of people.
Many of dozens.
Yeah.
No one said it looks great. I know it doesn't look great. It's for charity, whatever. Top of the order. So what's happening in baseball right now? Well, the Atlanta Braves went on to defeat the Houston Astros in 6 games to win the World Series just a few nights ago. First World Series title for Atlanta since '95, in a year that everybody said that they were supposed to win back then. And this year they certainly weren't supposed to. They were 1 game under 500. They had a losing record at the All-Star break. The front office believed in them, made a couple acquisitions, and they went on a good run to win the NL East and blow through 2 of the favorites in the National League to get to the World Series title. So,
team. I mean, the Dodgers. I mean, Dodgers were a pretty heavy favorite to win the World Series, and they beat them handedly. Like it was, and they also won the World Series after their starting pitcher, the number 1 pitcher, went down. So it was really, I mean, they were,
and
not to be
hitter.
Right, exactly, and their best hitter. It's pretty impressive.
The year, with a bad injury,
Did you see the tweet from Greg Maddox's wife? I guess he threw the ball out in game 5, right? And it said the wife tweeted that, paraphrasing, that Greg elected not, declined the information to continue pitching in the game because he wanted to give the fans their money's worth and didn't want the game to be an hour and 48 minutes.
That's hilarious. Well, it was like, it was definitely a bit of it was kind of a redemption story in many ways, right? I mean, obviously, the losing record going to the All-Star break. The Braves are always, being in our low to mid 40s ish, right? Growing up, the Braves are always strong, one of the stronger National League teams. This year they had, there was controversy with, having the All-Star game taken away from the city. There was the team itself that seemed to be in disarray in the All-Star break, and talk about putting it all together. I mean, very rarely does that happen, right? Where you make the exact appropriate moves at the All-Star break, get the right guys to come in and to be able to fit in with the group that you already have, and then add to that even more. And they didn't just win the World Series. I mean, like I said, they crushed the Dodgers, and then they went up against the Astros, and everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of people thought that the momentum had really shifted when the Astros came back from that 4-0 deficit 2 games ago, game 5. But, good teams don't let that hurt them, and they didn't. And they were a fun team to watch. I was pulling for them. I think pretty much everyone outside of downtown Houston was rooting for the Braves. And I know I certainly was. And it was fun to watch. And I said it last episode, but I'll say it again. Like I'm so impressed, even more so after thinking about what Charlie Morton did pitching in that inning with a broken fibula. That's unreal. I mean, I think he even brought wasn't his last fastball like 96 miles an hour?
Yeah. Yep.
Amazing.
I think he threw.
Amazing.
I think he punched out one or two guys and got like a ground ball out as well. You know, it was pretty impressive to do that.
Did Soleil win the MVP?
Yeah, Jorge
Yes.
Soler won the MVP after getting traded, you know, to the Braves again mid-season from like the last place Kansas City Royals.
Right.
Got to get traded and instant upgrade, you know, onto a team that's
He went off.
Yeah, he did. I mean, that ball that he hit, they estimated at like 447. That ball went a country mile. That ball was one of the hardest hit balls I've ever seen.
Whenever you hit one out of the stadium, it's usually a decent piece.
Yeah, legitimately over everything. Over those dumb train tracks they have in Houston.
That middle hanging little skinny slider that he threw.
Yeah.
He still hasn't looked back. The pitcher never saw it leave the park. I mean, it's plausible deniability that never went out according to him.
I think the Braves are haunted by hanging sliders, right? And Waller's hang one to Jim Leyritz. With that team, just think of the team that they had in the 90s and won nothing.
I know.
3 pitchers are in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Right? You've got
Chipper Jones
in the Hall of Fame.
Andrew Jones,
marginal Hall of Famer.
They had a great team.
The crime dog at some point who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And they won once.
David Justice.
Yeah. They won one time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a great team. I mean, there are some teams like that, right? I mean, I remember the like the late 90s Indians as well, right? Late 90s into the early 2000s, when Manny Ramirez was a 7-hitter.
And ironically, the Braves, right, beat the Indians. That was the only win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. Was that during their 100 and what they have like a what was their they had the record at the time for wins in the season,
something like that,
13 or something like that. But yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think that was right.
Hey, and before we get out of here, as a Yankee fan, I do want to pay tribute to Jerry Remy, who we lost this week, who lost his battle with cancer. Went through an ugly, pretty much 20 years of his life with cancer. His son, unfortunately, ended up being convicted of a gruesome murder and spending, whether, it's still your son that's, spending the rest of his life in Walpole. And, Jerry was a good announcer. And I think back in the Yankees heyday, one of the memorable, I'll paraphrase, lines that Jerry Remy said is that somewhere in the 9th inning, right before they went to commercial, that Mariano Rivera was coming into the game and he's got 2 pitches, a fastball and a cut fastball, and the Red Sox aren't going to hit either one of them. I think I fell off the chair when he said that. It was so funny. So here's to Jerry Remy, a good guy and certainly a hard worker and overachiever in his career.
No, he was great. I mean, I'll definitely back that up and say that Jerry Remy absolutely did not say that anytime during the 2004 ALCS.
Not the 2004. This was in the
no. But I think it's to this to you, Kevin, at one point, but watching MLB games and you have the MLB package and whenever you're watching an out of town team on the MLB package, you got their local announcers, and it's Boarfest is doesn't even do it justice, right? And the amazing thing that Jerry Remy. The amazing thing about him was, and especially this is back when he was with Don Arcello, and I think they were just a great tandem. They made the game entertaining outside of baseball. I mean, they were witty. They understood Boston sarcasm and Boston sarcastic humor. And they'd keep you watching even an 11-1 blowout, and that's not easy to do, and he just, I think it came easy to him. He's a local guy, grew up a Red Sox fan, came from a pretty poor town, and ended up playing for his hometown team and then spent a career as a broadcaster for his hometown. So he really kind of lived the real dream, right? I mean, he was attached to that. And now what they're doing is I understand there's a bit of a petition going around to rename Jersey Street, which was Yawkey Way, for Remy Way. And I think that's the perfect tribute. I'm 100% behind it. I signed it. So, yeah.
That would be great. Is there a link to that? Do we have it? Because I'd like to sign that.
Yeah, we can put that we can put that in the comments.
Of course, they changed it because of whatever, slave or whatever. And turns out that was General Jersey actually was a slave owner.
So he was actually he was like a British dude
yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Didn't dive too deep into that name change, did you?
No,
so yeah, Jerry Remy would be great.
I think it'd be perfect, the perfect tribute, and beloved by all the fans. I mean, and I think it was Joe Buck that said it. If there were indeed an emperor of Red Sox Nation, it would be Jerry Remy.
Agreed.
So well said.
Oh, rest in
All
peace.
right. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, moving on. So part of this, the whole purpose of this show is, Prove It Live, which, we do a little segment at the end called Why Would You Do That? And we go back and forth. But part of this is really dispelling the nonsense that's on social media. And what is on social media, by definition, when you challenge someone and they immediately call you names or try to tear you down, that person should never be watched, followed. Just block them, because they can't have a debate on the topic. They just try to rip you down. So speaking of former Red Sox, I came across, I do follow Jeff Fry, who I believe was a Red Sox for a while, right?
Yes, he was.
Speaking of overachievers and a good guy, he's got a,
and wore Jerry Remy's number, I think.
Did he? Yeah, I think he might be right. Yep. So he's got a it's got a podcast. He's got a Twitter feed, and I think is like the She Gone network. But he has come under fire from this guy, which we'll absolutely name, called the Teacherman, who is responsible for this high level pattern hitting, which he says that multiple major leaguers follow. That is revolutionizing hitting. And I'll let you guys talk about the hitting part of it, because that's certainly not my forte. But Jeff had a picture, if you can show my screen right now. Jeff had a picture of this young man on his screen. So looking at this, I was like, whoa, that left knee does not look good. So for anyone listening, this gentleman is in a mini squat with his back leg, which looks functionally correct. Yet his front leg, his toe is turned in, and his knee is not only over his toe straight ahead, but it's also tilted on a valgus, which is caved into the medial side or inside of the knee stretch, right? And I said, wow, that knee looks dangerous, because it is a dangerous position, okay? As a former ACL terror, okay, myself twice, this is a position that my knee was in when my knee blew out, a position that you never want to be in any athletic movement. Why would you put your knee through this or put yourself in this to begin any sort of athletic movement? So, and as we go through this video, you'll see that the right leg straightens and the pelvis moves up and forward. Now, from this position, and this was actually the position of the picture, this teacher man said that there is absolutely, and I went back at him after he called me all kinds of names, zero weight on his front foot. So we were going to get two scales, but why waste our time? I like to use Photoshop. So if we Photoshopped out the back leg, okay, because if there are the front leg, if there's no weight on the front leg, we can take it out, right? So if I Photoshop this front leg out, can someone tell me how, Mike, can you tell me how he stands on one leg?
No, I cannot. In fact, he falls to his left, to our right, looking at it immediately. Falls right down.
Immediately, right? Yeah. Immediately. So there's weight on the leg, okay? And someone that young, it doesn't take much weight or much force to rip a growth plate, to tear an ACL, to damage cartilage. Now, as we go through, my esteemed colleague, Mike, actually brought this to my attention. As we finish this, and we'll talk about how you hit a baseball with a vertical bat in a second, but I want you to just watch the spine slam in to side bend and rotation in this position, okay? The spine angle is in a reverse C, and he's over his right hip. So he jams his facet joints. Now, what's a facet joint? It's essentially like two train cars hooking into one another, but from a vertical position, meaning one on top of one another. That's how the back works. They kind of hook in. So when you're in about 15 degrees of side bend, which he's well past that, you're jamming those facets in and now rotating against force. So you're crushing this kid's back in this position. And I just don't see, and I can, if we stop this, and Ryan, let's share Ryan's screen. This is the position that this gentleman is to hit a ball. And I want Ryan to share his screen now and show a position of a actual major leaguer named Buster Posey in the same finish like I guess the ball would be, they're pretty much the same. And just look at the difference. Okay. Weight evenly across both legs, rotated. Like, this is a stable position. Okay. You couldn't knock him over right now if you pushed him.
Right.
This kid, you can knock over both backwards to the side and over his left foot.
Also back to front. So, a couple of things, if I could just jump in, just because obviously I can speak to, the mechanics of this. First of all, the barrel, right? The barrel, the bat, right? And you said, this other young lad has a vertical barrel, right? Which he did. And of course, Buster Posey here has a horizontal barrel. It's not brain surgery here. You want to cover the plate. You got to cover the width of the strike zone. And that's why you want it to be horizontal. So that's number one. How he gets there, and one of the main reasons he can stay there is if you look at Buster's right arm, it is in like a bit of a V. Okay, now if his elbow would slot down more towards his side, it would look like an L. But there's basically a 90-degree angle between his bicep and his forearm. This is important. This is really important. This is exactly how you'd want your top hand to form as a hitter. So Buster can now actually extend his hands straight out and through contact and basically through the path of the ball, right? And oftentimes when we're trying to teach it, we say, trying to chase the ball with the barrel as it leaves the bat, okay? His left shoulder is where it's supposed to be. It's not at the highest point of his body, which we'll go back to the other young man in a second to show you what I mean. And the most important right here is that his head is on the ball. You can see that his eyes are directly on the ball. He's seeing contact, and he's not overly bent over to one side. So if you want to go back to the other
one of the things too, that I know we talk about this, Mike, a lot too, is the hands, right? His top hand on the bat, palm up at contact right here. So he's able to, like you said before, extend through and push and really drive that ball, which you're not going to be able to do with the Teacherman method, which Kevin will show you again right now.
Right.
Yeah. So if we go back, So Mike, exactly what you just talked about, the head. Let me rewind this so you can see what this kid's head is doing. So assuming he's looking at the
ball,
and then the knee jams. I mean, there's the right knee jamming into extension, right? And now we're going to push forward a little bit. And then the head is now doing what?
I don't know.
Looking at the ball into the catcher's glove, and then now we're looking down. I mean, how do you follow the baseball in that position?
You can't.
And then we've got this.
Right. Now the head's turned completely sideways, and
I'll just no weight on the front leg, none.
Let me do my little demonstration here, okay? Like I did for you guys before the show, right? So, if you're reading, okay, a book, and all of a sudden this is done to it, you're probably going to lose you're going to lose your place. You're not going to be able to follow along. and basically that's essentially what you're doing here. When you turn your head as the ball's moving, you have a moving target that you have to hit, and you're also moving your head and your eyes, making it extremely different. Look at the whole reason why curveballs and breaking pitches are hard to hit is because they move and they're harder to track. And so hitting this way, you're essentially making every pitch a breaking ball.
Is this back leg their version of a load to kick the hip back and throw your hip? Because watch his pelvis. Yeah. Pelvis moves forward.
Right.
Because there's the load.
It has to in order to rotate from there.
So as soon as I straighten my right leg, right now I've taken the stretch or strain or stress or I would call potential energy, meaning I'm like taking elastic band, I'm stretching it back. As soon as I straighten my knee, I take the potential energy away from my hamstring and my groin. They're now not in play. So I've just taken two muscles and shut them down.
Right.
So now there's two muscles that help protect the back because that's where they're attached to. And as I jam my back and my facet joints and my knee into this fakakta position, and that's what it is. It's a fakakta position. It's not functional. It's stupid. It's dangerous.
But if you can pause right there, Kev, at the end of this one for a second, right at the end, right there. Okay. So again, this is, and by the way, this is taught. So this would be accurate the way that this teach.
They've got his hands reversed compared to what you guys are saying. Right?
Completely. Right. His top hand is actually, if you were to open his fingers, his palm would be facing the
Dugout.
Deck circle, the on deck circle, right? The third base on deck circle. And it looks like his bottom hand would be facing back at the catcher. So they're not even in opposite directions as they should be. They're in sort of like adjacent positions. That said, if you look at the angle of the barrel, which he's not actually holding a bat here. I don't know what this thing is, but he's simulating a bat. The barrel is vertical. It's straight up and down. A baseball is very hard to hit. It's going to be a lot harder to hit this way. And not to mention that it's a complete circular path. Now, typically when we talk about circular bat path, we talk about a horizontal circular bat path. This is a vertical.
It's like croquet.
Like croquet, right? Exactly. Yeah, or maybe even cricket to a degree.
Yeah.
In this position, you'll also see that look where his top hand is. So this guy's this young lad, his right elbow, his top hand elbow is out in front of his belly almost. It's hard to really describe for those who are just listening.
Well, the point of the elbow is also going towards either the on deck circle or the dugout on the first base side, third base side.
And this will absolutely create elbow issues. 100%.
And his right elbow pointed straight, almost straight to the sky.
His left elbow, yes.
Left elbow. So how do you even extend your elbows in this position?
You can't. That's the thing is there's no extension. So your barrel's only look at if you have. It's the same with any circular bat path, right? You have a ball loop moving on a linear plane from the pitcher to the mitt, and if you take a circular approach to that, your contact has to be impeccable. You only have really one tiny window, some tiny 2-inch window in order to make contact with that ball perfectly. And if you have a linear parallel path to that ball, it's just common sense. You have a much bigger window.
Like what you described Albert Pujols before, that keeps his bat in the zone for like the longest.
For like 2 feet, right? And it was it was my football field analogy I used last week that almost put Kevin to sleep. Right? Same thing.
That's not true. I was awake.
Well, you said you were like, I'm tired already. You were making a joke, but it's an important thing to note because. Look at the end of the day, especially for kids, success, minor success, even just getting hits, being able to put your barrel on the ball. That's what keeps kids engaged in the game and wanting to continue to play. And so, strikeouts are already at an all-time high in MLB and across baseball. And it's because of the advancements in, strength and conditioning and et cetera. But this is going to make it, I couldn't even put a number on it. 20 times worse. I don't know. I mean, it's bad, and he's going to hurt his elbow. I've seen this happen, Kevin. I've seen hitters that unintentionally get into this position where their top hand elbow. Okay, this hitters are righty, so his right elbow juts out in front of his wrist. The back elbow should always stay behind the fist as you go on a rotation, so you can extend it. You can, of course, the reason why it is where it is because they teach this. They teach the first movement to be the back elbow to drop down under the wrist. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. It's one of the most. I don't want to be over dramatic, but it really is one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
He's got like Jesus disciples, but I don't see anyone hitting like this in the major.
No, it's a cult following. It's like a cult like following. That's what it is. And I'm not claiming to say it's a cult.
Kev, to rebut that point a little bit, Aaron Judge has publicly, thanked Richard Shank, aka Teacherman, for reinventing his swing and getting him,
But Judge does not swing like this at all.
No.
He might use the upper body because there is good, the upper body turn of this is good, which Judge may use, but Judge's hand position isn't certainly like this, and certainly doesn't shift his weight like this. Not even close.
No, and of course, when you're hitting, as we were talking earlier, it might have been a pre-show actually, that athletic positions, right? Hitting should start from an athletic position, just like any other athletic motion. Be it a golf swing where the feet aren't as wide as a typical squat, but the feet are about shoulder width. Your hips are back, your butt's down. We talked about linebackers and running backs pre-snap, feet wider than the shoulders, hips back, butt down. A tennis player, preparing to return a serve. Okay, that's a reactionary position like hitting. Hips back, butt down, feet wider than the shoulders. Basketball players on defense. Okay. I mean, you can go on and on. It's an athletic position. It's a squat. It's just the squat. That's all it is. And the other part to that is you want the upper body to be relatively tall. You want to be, sort of proud, chest out, chin up. You want to be posturally sound. You have your scaps, down and back. So
let me just stop
so
you
many
there.
violations.
Yeah. In this, if you look at his shirt, his upper traps are on his ears. So
right.
and assuming with both arms abducted away from the body like that, you're going to fire up the upper traps, which is going to elevate the scapula, cause shoulder impingement, and more importantly, slow you down.
And like a lot.
A lot.
A lot. And so the basic thing that we try to teach kids, right, instead of getting into like full scientific terms, et cetera, is you try to teach them about what efficiency is, right? About like how an athlete can be efficient by having the big muscles do the work, by having the body move in the right order, right? We call it sequential order. But these are all things that aren't my opinions or Kevin's opinions or Ryan's opinions. These are kinesiological laws. It's how the body moves.
I didn't write the book. It's been around a while. Yeah.
It's been around a long time. And, well, let me see here.
So while you're looking them up, we have breaking news.
I just looked up really quickly, just Aaron Judge's swing, and I can send it to you guys, but just a picture of him at the end of the swing.
Yeah.
Just by where he finished, you can tell he did nothing of the sort of the swing.
I'm sitting here. I'm actually reading the article from the New York Daily News from 2018.
Is this bad? Is this bat vertical?
No.
Yeah.
Look at his legs.
Right. And he's posturally sound. I was going to say if anything, he does something a little bit different with his front shoulder. He tends to tense up and bar out his left arm a little bit.
Yep. So we have some, we'll come over with breaking news, political news that we may like to do, but does anyone know who Igor Danchenko is?
Never heard of him.
Well, he's now in prison.
Who's that?
He is the source of the Trump Russian dossier, was arrested today in the Durham probe.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. That was fake news, right?
Well, is this real? This picture real?
So back to Judge for a second. In this article, Judge is talking about taking his swing, and this is where you're talking about like the vertical versus horizontal thing here. It says Judge, who blasted 21 of his 52 home runs to right or right center, also spoke of his swing path being more of a Ferris wheel instead of a merry-go-round.
Mm-hmm. Right. But this goes back exactly, Ryan, to what we talked about before. It's Tony Gwynn giving lessons on Comcast, where he's telling you to take your hands and bring the knob directly to the ball with your hands. And that's not how he hits. It's not how he hit it at all. I mean, I've listened to guys on the MLB Network talk about it. I remember when Josh Donaldson came on. What was that now? 6-7 years ago, and people were mind blown that he said, "No, I don't think about hands. I think about turning. I let my hands find the ball." Everyone's like, "Whoa, mind blow." We were already talking about that. Now I'm not saying that to say that, we were ahead of MLB. Look, MLB, you get to that level, hitting coaches at that level, they're talking about approach. They're talking about, studying pitchers, how people are going to attack you, looking for weaknesses. You're not reinventing a swing at the big league level. You might make some tweaks here and there, but that's it.
If anyone in the Yankees has a Ferris wheel swing, it would be Joey Gallo.
Joey Gallo's dead. Okay.
Joey Gallo only gets a hit when the pitcher actually hits the ball with the bat, right? Because he's got a straight uppercut swing where the swing finishes up by his ear, like Arnold Palmer's golf swing. That's a Ferris wheel swing. And obviously, Joey Gallo only hit the ball in one position, which is down and in. That's it, which is just it. It's the only place, if you look at his hitting charts, the only place it's red. Everything else is dark blue because he can't hit anything else but that.
So everybody out there, if you're listening, don't take our word for any of this. Go look it up. Go look Aaron Judge. Go watch Aaron Judge's swing in slow motion. You tell me if you find a bat path that looks like that. You tell me if you see his right elbow, his top hand elbow ahead of his hand out in front. You won't see it.
And you tell me if he shifts his weight forward to his front leg, straightens his back leg, and then swings, which he does not. No one does.
None of the sort. Now, I think that, there's and this is the same for everybody. There's things that you can work on, even big league hitters. All the key components, they're going to be nearly identical. Aaron Judge's load position is going to be just like anybody else's. How he's going to rotate the contact is going to be the same. Will there be minor tweaks and, maybe a little front shoulder comes up, maybe a bottom hand bars out a little bit? Sure. But generally speaking, they're all going to be nearly identical. And so, go look for yourself. And I think it's, especially if you're a coach or if you're a parent of a player and you want to teach the right thing, I think it's really important, because I wouldn't knock anybody if they're teaching somebody Aaron Judge's swing as is in real life. That is not Aaron Judge's swing. And to be, and to, I think to come out and say that and to tell people, oh, I'm teaching Aaron Judge's swing. If they're not going to go and do the research themselves on that, you're doing that person a disservice. You're lying to them.
Agreed. All right.
Lying, Jerry.
Lying, Jerry. All right. Well, I think we've so people can certainly check that out. This video will be posted. It's on my Facebook. It'll be posted on YouTube. You can see for yourself, compare for yourself. Like Mike said, don't take our word for it. Look it up, look it out, look at it. You're going to see, you're gonna see what we're talking about. But anything that we do in sports needs to be from an athletic, safe position, a position of power.
Real quickly,
no position should be of right. No, exactly. No.
Note his right elbow behind his fist. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Cool. Moving on. What do we got now? Is it time?
I think it may be.
All right. Mike, should we drum? Let me see if I have drum roll. No, I have birds. What do we got here? Oh, there we go.
Let's go. Do it again. Why would you do that? I know. It was more of a drum. So keep going. See if you have a drum roll.
That was a punchline thing.
Find a drum roll. Yeah. Boom.
That's it. I don't know how many drum.
No? God.
All right. Oh, I've got clapping. Hold on. All
right. Hold on. Let's cue that. Ready? Hold on.
Okay.
And now it's time for Why Would You Do That?
Hey.
There we go. That's pretty good.
Thank you. All right.
Winner.
Why do we do that?
All right, so a couple of things we'll show today. Let's see here.
We need like a "Why would you do that" theme song.
Yeah, we've been saying
why would you do that? Guys, why do you have your hand raised?
You do that?
Why is your hand you have your hand raised? Like a child.
Yeah, like on your screen.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
You raise your hand on the
high five it.
Do you have a question?
Just hit lower hand.
No question. No question here.
Okay.
So this is.
Well, put your hand down.
Lower your hand. It's on the toolbar.
Jesus Christ Almighty.
Now he's dead too.
Well, is he?
We don't know.
It's kind of in. Anyway,
it's true.
It's kind of a little of both. Yeah.
Maybe I think he's one of these now.
Oh, yes, that's a good one. Very good. Hold on. Wait, do that again. There we go. Say that.
Nice.
What else I have here?
All right. We are children.
Why would you do that?
We are children.
That was like a the more you know type of.
The more you know. Why would you do that?
So this is claiming to be a separation drill that will help to increase bat speed. Okay, so if you're struggling to find consistency with your swing, likes the tee to help slow things down, and this drill allows you to feel where you are before you swing, so you can nail down what you're doing and what your cues will be once you get into the game.
Whew, that seems like a lot. All right.
What we got?
Pulling a string from your knob to your front foot.
Okay. Right. What's with the obsession with strings? Pull a string. It's like pulling a string. It's like pulling an elastic. It's like pulling this. What's up with the pulling?
Well, can you go back there? Because it looked like this is two morphed in videos. Because like this, where you start this, the back leg is in a good squat position, right?
Glad you caught that. Let's go back here.
So here we are. So stop right there. Oh, no,
I agree. Stop in that middle of his load phase. That's actually important too. He loses
his load.
He loses everything. Yeah.
So if he goes back as he's doing his twirly whirl, whatever he's doing.
Now you'll see a little cut edit right about here.
Boom. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
All right, but go. So here. So just
look at that right shoulder. My goodness.
I'll let you guys talk about the hitting. He's spinning his back foot, or as we talked about in coaching cliches, He's squishing the bug. Now,
That's right.
That
Now this
violates proximal to distal, meaning the movement, if he got rid of and he had a fake leg, had a prosthetic, he would not be able to do that. The only way to be able to do that is if the core turns and moves the prosthetic. That's the simple way of
that's a great way to put it, Kevin.
Learning how to move proximal to distal. If we had Matt, which is a guy with no arms and no legs at your doorstep. Hold on. Okay, there. There we go. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitresses and bartenders. Okay. The only way to move arms and legs, if they are prosthetics or bionics or whatever, is that we have to turn the core. So if you're moving your foot, your hand first, it's wrong across the board. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great way to put it. And, I know we talked about when we were talking about, the cliches, that would have been a better way to describe it. And this is why this video is why you don't want to teach to squish the bug. Because again, we talked about, if you got an 8-year-old kid, they got to learn how to turn their back foot because a lot of them will get their foot stuck while turning their hips. This is why you don't teach it, is because you have the ability here, like this gentleman who can turn his back leg independently of his hip. Right. It's just like his, what's this called? The femur, right? Just rotate, right? Just rotating into the labrum of his hip socket. And that's not going to move anything other than your leg. It's not going to certainly not generate force.
And as you just said, it's going to wear out your labrum because you're moving that hip on a fixed surface, right? Like a merry-go-round.
That's right.
Now your pelvis is fixed and your pelvis should be fluid and turning.
Absolutely. The other thing, obviously, we see here, and I'm sure Ryan has picked this out, is now there's a whole bunch wrong here. Posturally, he's not balanced. He's not in an athletic position. His right shoulder, his right trap is starting to shrug and pull. You got this.
Right. It's going to slow him down and do the opposite effect.
Absolutely. It's hard to see because he's got dark clothing on, but his hips aren't really turned. It looks like they're maybe turned a quarter of the way if in terms of a full swing. So to increase bat speed, no, this will not increase bat speed. Now I think because I've seen this, because Ryan, we have another video, right? Same thing of like the separate, pull the string type of thing, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think where this comes from is real quick, Kevin, is getting the hands outside the hip. You want when you turn your hips, you want your hips, your core to turn to pull your upper body. That's correct. The sequential motion.
Bruce Lee 1-inch punch.
That's it, right? And when your hand gets in here, right, especially if the hands start moving and they're going to, object in motion tends to stay in motion, you're going to get ahead. Now you're swinging the bat rather than turning your body. And,
so the kinesiological evidence of that is you cannot rotate two things at the same time. The body needs to rotate off a stable axis, like a merry-go-round, right? Got the pole and we're turning. We can't put a second deck on the merry-go-round and have that merry-go-round turn on the other merry-go-round because the other merry-go-round is moving, right? So if the hips are moving, the shoulders go with it. If the shoulders start to moving, the hip has to stop so the upper spine can rotate around the lower spine. You can't have two rotating pieces at the same time. It's physically impossible.
Impossible.
Yes. So you can't have a second deck on your merry-go-round the playground. It won't spin. Or it will spin if the other merry-go-round is stopped.
Right. And sometimes, right, that sort of happens in sequence as you rotate. But this is just and again, it's not wild. It's not what we just saw. It's not the Teacherman stuff. But this is just a basic misunderstanding of how kinesiology works, how the body, how force production works, right? And it's like, look at that. Why with the shoulder? You just completely, and that was it. He starts, if
he just loads and you just say turn the belly button,
right?
It's perfect. Just turn the belly button, bam, boom.
Yeah.
Which is what he ended up doing. Watch, after he does all this other hot dog stuff, right? Just go watch the belly button. He'll just move it where it should. As you switch, and then he'll go right, and he'll just turn his belly button.
Well, look at his shoulders. I would bet if you slow mode him, he's turning in more shoulders than belly button. But we'll see.
He does. Well, he does.
It shows the wiggle for
right, and then he does it. Yeah, and boom, it's his belly button. Pow. Good. I mean, he may start a little cast out a little bit with his shoulders, but that's it.
this doesn't want to stay this way, right? It's going to want to pull. But look,
so,
at the end of the day,
while we're on the phone, I got a message from a former Major League Baseball player.
Okay.
Just named in this podcast, Jeff Fry.
Jeff Fry.
And Jeff Fry, I'm sharing my screen here. So there is a no holds barred cage match, as Jeff Fry has on his Twitter feed. The big leaguer versus the narcissist pool player turned hitting expert. Okay, so that is taking place. So this, I don't know if this is online or they're gonna, like, I couldn't be in the same room as the guy because I literally would punch him in the face. Not Jeff Fry. I would punch this guy because that's what he needs. He's so insulting. Like, someone just needs to knock him out. And maybe I'll do it one day if I see him face to face, and then if it's in the way, I'll knock him out. So this, we can register for this at majorleaguehittingclinics.com. I don't know if someone's charging money, but I'm telling you, it'd be worth it to see Fry pound this guy into oblivion.
And Fry, I mean, for what it's worth, 8 years in the bigs compared to Aaron Judge, his 6 years in the bigs. Now, obviously, they're different hitters, right? Aaron Judge is a power hitter, and the game is different now. But Judge, who is a quote unquote Teacherman disciple of sorts, right?
But he's not. No, he's not. He's not a disciple.
But you know what I'm saying. Career batting average of 276. Jeff Fry, career batting average of 290. So,
did he have really 290 career batting average?
290 career batting average, yeah.
Good for him.
Right.
I mean, he's like 4'3". He's Judge is 6'8". He's like,
I know. Average is one of the most useless stats in the world. But look, point is, I don't want to make it to seem like this is a Judge thing, because Aaron Judge does not swing doesn't say anything close to that. It's not anywhere. It's not even the same sport. It's not the same ballpark. It's the same league.
No way. Judge doesn't fall back on his back. The only one who I would think swings like that is Joey Gallo. He's falling back.
Joey Gallo's dead.
Oh, Joey Gallo. My bad.
So was that joke? I feel like we're over this at this point.
Well, yeah, if you're going to stomp on it afterwards, sure.
Yeah, right. That's all, dude. Yeah, it's an Academy Award-winning movie. You always go back to that.
It's called a callback. Nice mustache.
Right. Yes.
Thanks. It was.
By the way, I love how it's for charity. Gives them the pass. Really? You didn't have your choice of design. They went with that. That's the one you.
I think I'm good. I think
what's this stuff over here?
I will appreciate this. I'm gonna grow this back out a little longer, and then I'm gonna bleach this like Hollywood Hulk Hogan. What do you think?
Nice. That'll be good. Or Scott Steiner, I think.
Yeah, there we go.
Big Papa Pump. All right. So what's going on? What's up this weekend? Let's go.
There's lots of better ideas you could do.
Left to right here. So Ryan, what's besides trimming that mustache up, especially on the left side, there's a piece hanging out. I can see it. The high def camera right there.
Nope.
We got to shave that off a little bit. Just trim.
Oh yeah.
I see. Bring it in a little bit.
Should I bring it down to Charlie Chaplin or no?
No. Just it seems like a piece that's kind of like a cowlick of your mustache. Listen, I can't go over like that. So I
think that went over Kevin's head anyway.
What? Charlie Chaplin?
The Charlie Chaplin?
Yeah, I know Charlie Chaplin is, yeah.
Do you know the mustache he had?
Oh, yeah, you can't do a Charlie Chaplin.
No, you can't do that. No.
Someone else ruined that along the way.
Ruined that.
Cancel our whole show, for Christ's sake.
This weekend, just unpacking, just moved yesterday. So a lot of unpacking and going through some stuff. Fall ball is officially over. We're actually now here at Minutemen. We are into our off-season training. It started up this week. So, still kind of getting that up and running and into full force here. One thing I wanted to talking about callbacks here, the Braves winning the World Series, Houston Astros in 6 games. Former Major League player and current coach, Trevor Plouffe. I don't know if do you guys remember Trevor Plouffe? I think it's Plouffe.
It's Plouffe.
He tweeted out on March 31st of 2021 at 3:01 p.m. Atlanta Braves over Houston Astros in 6 games. So he called this back in March and hit the nail.
Hey, really?
Yeah,
in March.
I hope he put money. I hope he put some shekels down on that.
I hope so too. Yeah, but I thought that was pretty cool to have that nailed, right on the head. I mean, that's such a random. Kind of a random pull right there, but
yeah. What are the odds on that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Oh wait, am I supposed to go? Oh, we have training. We have yes, as Ryan said, skills training, mechanical skills training for
Let me try that again. What kind of training?
Baseball training. I'm
Army
lost.
training, sir.
Sorry.
Oh.
That's Stripes. Stripes. God damn it. I knew it. I knew you were going for some movie thing, and I blew it. I blew it.
Yeah.
I blew it.
We have
Blew
Joey
it.
Gallo. We got that. You can have Army training, sir.
Yeah.
What type of training, soldier? Army training, sir. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, we got that going on. We have the beginning of both Minutemen and Renegade softball this week. It's been going on. We have a great group of kids. Everyone sort of agrees like this has been like just a different vibe. It's great. And we did initial testing this week. We do our initial testing on Rapsodo for exit velocity and distance, and so the kids can see their progress throughout the year. And that's what we're doing this week. And next week, we get into the mechanical teachings.
Cool.
That's all I have to say about that.
All right.
What about you, Kev?
I'm off to the great state of Connecticut, my homeland.
Ugh.
I know exactly.
You hit Ryan's Deli though?
I'm gonna just come out, hopefully home of Ryan's Deli and the original Pepe's Pizza and every other good pizza in the.
But hold on, I
Yeah.
have heard that Modern's better than Pepe's.
That is a very good analysis, and it is, and it could very well be. And there's another pizza restaurant right around the corner called Sally's, which is equal. So those three pizza restaurants are the best in the world. There's no one even close.
I would agree with that. I would agree. I tell you,
New York, no, none.
New Haven.
Yep, that's it.
New Haven pizza is better than New York pizza. Absolutely, I agree.
Pizza capital of the world. And Ryan's Deli in Vernon, Connecticut, I'll give them a plug, is what Massachusetts is missing, which is a deli where you can eat food and give you cold cuts and soups and pre-made food. It's fantastic. It's been there forever. So that's
You ever go to Nardelli's? Do you remember? Have you ever been to
I have been to
Nardelli's?
Nardelli's. Yes.
There's good subs there too.
Michael's in Brookline.
I'm taking my children to see their in-laws. Well, my ex-in-laws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah.
So I mean, I gotta say before we go that that's like I've gotten to like some arguments about that, like about the whole New York. Of course, anyone from New York thinks everything from New York is the best. But I've eaten New York pizza. There's anywhere you go in New Haven, you can go to like any hole in the wall pizza place in New Haven, and the pizza is gonna be good. It's gonna be real good.
Pizza that you pick up and it stays there.
Yeah, it's just right. Yeah, couldn't say enough about. I believe the best pizza in the world also comes from.
All right,
New Haven.
awesome.
Yeah.
See, there we go.
All right.
Well, nothing else good out of Connecticut.
That's it. Well, we have a Jeff Bagwell.
Yeah.
What's my high school? Good.
Jeff Bagwell and
I did play for the aforementioned Houston Astros.
Who's the other one? Darren Bragg.
Darren
Bragg is a Connecticut guy as well.
Rob Dibble, a couple of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Rob Dibbles from Sullyton. Yeah, a couple. Scott Burrell, the basketball player.
I actually had something pop up on my Facebook feed from I think like 8 or 10 years ago, something like that. I was actually in Connecticut like 8 years ago, going to fight a ticket down in Vernon, Connecticut, in the Vernon Rockville Courthouse.
So here's a true story. So when I was a kid, I worked at a Buick dealership because my parking cars and washing them, because my favorite car growing up was a 1987 Buick Grand National. So that was by far the best, still is. So Connecticut State Police bought like the 86s, 85, 86s, and 88s and used them as cop cars. So imagine being chased down by the Buick Grand National as a
That's
cop.
awesome.
Those
cool. Cars are great.
Yeah, they had like unmarked Mustangs, but they did have because the 85, 86s, and the 88s were not. 87 is the year for that car, and there are some available around.
Those cars are great, and there is actually, and I think it's actually in Georgia. Speaking of the Atlanta Braves, police force where their cruisers are Corvettes.
Nice. Now, if anybody's watching the show,
nice being a cop there.
If anyone's watching the Stars show Hightown, which takes place in Provincetown, Massachusetts,
yes, great show.
One of the bad guys, Luis Gonzalez, who's in every movie, is driving around in a 1987 Grand National as his car, which is cool.
It's a great car.
Absolutely.
I always love watching like cop shows from like the 70s and 80s.
Oh, the best cars, man, right? I mean, look at Starsky and Hutch.
But the thing that always makes me laugh is like their guns were always 6-shooters. It's like, as a cop, like,
yeah, you had a good car though. You didn't need a big gun if you showed up in a good car. Remember Buford Pulsar?
With their accuracy, you might want a few more rounds in there. I don't know.
Or the A-Team. No one ever died on that show, right? No one. 1,000 bullets fly. No one was ever shot.
It's like
right?
Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. And
all right, kids.
We'll see you guys next week.
Adios. Bye-bye.